The administration of U.S. President Donald Trump is demanding that Venezuela's interim government expel agents of Russia, China, Iran, and Cuba from the country. As reported by Axios, after the operation to capture Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro was completed, the White House began pressuring Venezuela, demanding the expulsion of all suspected spies and intelligence agents. This measure does not apply to official diplomats. In addition, according to ABC News, Venezuela must sever its economic ties with China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba, and agree to an exclusive partnership with the United States in oil extraction. According to a source cited by the publication, Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated at a closed briefing that the United States can force Venezuela to take these steps because its existing oil tankers are full. Rubio also informed lawmakers that according to U.S. estimates, Venezuela has only a few weeks left before the country faces financial insolvency unless it is able to sell its oil reserves. Meanwhile, the United States continues to pursue a Russian oil tanker in the Atlantic Ocean, which has been trying to evade capture for about 3 weeks. According to the Wall Street Journal, in response, Russia deployed a submarine and other warships to escort the tanker. According to the publication, the tanker was unable to enter Venezuelan ports to load oil. The U.S. Coast Guard began pursuing it as part of a large-scale campaign to detain the shadow fleet transporting illegal oil, particularly of Russian origin. In an attempt to evade pursuit, the tanker painted a Russian flag on its side, changed its registration and name, and claimed to belong to the Russian Federation. Earlier, the Russian government sent an official diplomatic request to the United States demanding that it stop pursuing the oil tanker.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced Washington's plans regarding Venezuelan oil. The official stated that the U.S. wants to attract private companies that will invest in equipment. He also promised substantial royalties for the people of Venezuela, arguing that previously only a handful of people profited from Venezuelan oil and that this needs to change. Rubio emphasized that the U.S. wants to ensure that no oil under sanctions will be exported from Venezuela until the management of the entire sector changes.
Because right now, this sector does not exist in the traditional sense. These oil fields are essentially pirate operations. People are literally stealing oil from underground by the handful. That's how they keep this regime together.
The Kremlin fears that a change of power in Venezuela will lead to a drop in global oil prices and hit the Russian economy, according to Bild. In Moscow, they believe that the U.S. will be able to quickly ramp up oil production in Venezuela, which will increase pressure on Russia's oil revenues. The Russians suggested that the U.S. goal is to keep the price of Russian oil below $50 per barrel, which would force the Kremlin to cut spending, sell off state assets, or raise taxes. But oil prices on the global market are already falling. Brent crude has dropped by 0.5%, and its price is now just over $60 per barrel. American WTI crude fell in price by 0.6% to about $57 per barrel. Venezuela exports only 1% of the world's oil, even though the country holds about 17% of global reserves. Traders expect that exports could increase significantly in the coming years. The Venezuelan opposition, in turn, is developing a roadmap for change. Among the key demands are the release of political prisoners, the return of exiled leaders, restitution of confiscated property, as well as the restoration of freedom of speech and assembly. All these measures must be implemented immediately, the opposition insists.